when you see this girl who, like I said, is a celebrity for having a toxic relationship, but she like at the end she gives out a wad of money to the pastor who was her pastor a long time ago and whatever. I don't know, but we gotta get to something. Cause I know y'all got stuff to do on y'all Saturdays, and I gotta get my hair done.
Yeah,
we can talk about sex. I just think it's better to do it with Terry.
I'm not disagreeing, but we don't have another topic. Is what
I don't have another one.
I know.
And I can't tell you nothing about LA, so I can't. Oh, I can't help you there.
I'm with you.
Should Christians go to Vegas?
Maybe are there any places that Christians shouldn't go? I don't know.
Maybe we can do a list: strip clubs, concerts. Guess it's an extension of something we already talked about. Swinger clubs.
Okay.
Swinger club.
I guess that's the sex conversation.
Sure.
And why? Why shouldn't they go there? I don't know.
Is there any places that you've been embarrassed to be seen as a preacher's kid? Is there a place where preacher's kids can't go?
That works too. I'm just trying to think on the fly because I don't know.
I don't know either.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Ooh, Lord.
All righty. Who's gonna say it?
Boom, shaka, laka, shaka, laka, shaka, laka, shaka.
Boom.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Worst Ones Podcast. This is the safe and unsafe place for preacher's kids to come and be the worst. My name is Rudy Wilson. I am a preacher's kid. We have Kellie Lee. She is a preacher's kid. We got Janessa Rowland. She is a honor roll preacher's kid. And
you gotta say big boss honor roll.
Big boss honor roll. You feel me? Princess Kells, willy nilly if you're nasty. And we got Terry Wayne in his absence, who is still in the running for being the absolute worst. How's everybody doing? I guess we can make this quick since we've already spent 13 minutes getting our lives together. So Miss Honoro, how are you?
I'm exhausted. I've just been working a lot, trying to wrap up school. I have a conference to go to next weekend. So I'm just trying to get my life together for real.
Work conference, school conference?
The Energy Justice Ambassador program that I'm now doing is the kickoff conference. So that's that.
All right. Well, congrats on that. That sounds like something that's, special. Something that everybody's not out here. I've never even heard of it. So it sounds pretty elite to me.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Okay. Oh, you had something else? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say trying to make energy equitable and affordable and clean for the world. Just, trying to save the world a little bit.
Gotcha.
We appreciate that.
I'm sure the Lord appreciates it. Princess Kells.
I'm good.
Your Highness.
I'm good. Can't complain. I don't know if I told you guys, historically, the last 8 years, I've been working at the high school level. This year I changed and moved to middle school. So I have an elementary school and a middle school. And baby, that middle school life's something different.
Really? The middle schoolers?
The middle school is something different.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love it though. I do. I really, really do. But when I tell you it is something different, they fight in high school and weapons in high school and drugs in high school, but you expect a lot of that in high school. But when you get it consistently at the middle school level, and middle schoolers' brains aren't developed as much, so they can't think about them long-term consequences as much. It's just interesting. But I love it. It brings me so much joy. I think yesterday at school we had about 3-4 fights. One of them, they locked down the entire school because some 8th graders jumped another boy. But when you get a lockdown, when it's not a drill and they just say whole school on lockdown, you like, oh Lord, somebody got a weapon, it's an intruder, like you don't know what's going on. So it's scary, and but I'm enjoying it. I love it. I probably have some tales and stories for you guys throughout the year about my good old middle school life and my kids. But overall, I'm doing well, and I'm excited for the change.
Gotcha. Sounds like you're at East Side High from Lean on Me.
Lean on Me.
Old Joe Clark got to come in there and clean it up some.
Need something. Something.
Gotcha. Well, I'm well. No complaints from my end. I have nothing interesting to talk about. Nothing spectacular has happened.
Quick question before we start. Can y'all hear my dishwasher?
I can't.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
All right. So today's topic, I feel like we should always be honest with our audience. We are winging it. Okay? We are winging it. Okay. We have potential topics, but this may go anywhere. Okay. Just know this conversation may go anywhere because we have 2 topics that Kellie refuses to talk about without certain people here. Both people bailed in one way or another, and so here is the 3 of us, and so we have to go with a brand new topic. And I'm going to leave in all of that footage of us figuring out this.
Nobody wants to hear all that.
This topic that we pulled out of our anuses. All right. But so what did we come up with? What was the last thing? Where shouldn't we go? Where shouldn't Christians go?
Where shouldn't preachers' kids be seen?
So preachers' kids specifically, not even just Christians, I guess, as a whole.
Start with preachers' kids, and then we can
wing our way down.
See where it goes.
Slap our way down the line.
See where it goes for the next 40 minutes.
Flap our way on down.
Grasping for straws.
Gotcha. Well, should we?
Oh, one more thing before we start. I know I had this issue a month ago. My air conditioning is out again, so if you see me fanning, that is why.
Girl,
I'm about to pull
like
out one
the
right now.
worst time for your air to keep going out.
I'm trying to tell you.
So just wanted to let y'all know.
Lord have mercy. Okay. Well, who wants to start? Should we just go ahead and address the whole Beyonce thing again, or should we just see if it comes up?
We'll see if it comes up.
Gotcha.
I'll give you a story about me, and I may have already told this story before. So drinking was a big thing. So my parents don't drink. I guess it's debatable whether Christians should drink or not. We've never really talked about that.
Out of curiosity, do both of your parents not drink for the same reason? And I'm asking because I know your parents are very different.
I think neither one of them are just not drinkers.
Okay, gotcha.
They will drink with me on occasion, like if it's a special occasion. We may get like a bottle of champagne, but they're not ones to go out to dinner and like buy a drink. So neither one of them are just drinkers.
Gotcha.
Now they're family members. Absolutely. With themselves.
Right. Right.
And so I remember turning 21 and at the legal age that I can drink. And in the area in which we live in, I wouldn't go to the liquor store.
Okay.
And so I was too afraid that someone would see me and they would judge me for doing something that is legal, for my age. Like even in the grocery stores, especially in the DeKalb County area, I wouldn't buy a bottle of wine. It took me a long time to get out of that. to the thought of like preachers' kids shouldn't be in the liquor store. They shouldn't be buying, alcohol. And, again, my parents don't drink. And so it wasn't anything that was the norm in my house. But then when you go to college, you get exposed to, other ways of life. And that was just something that I felt like I couldn't do or I shouldn't do. And it had a huge stronghold on me for a while. Now, in my 30s, I'll go and pick up what I need to go and pick up. But I know that was one place for me growing up that I didn't feel like I can go. And I probably would have judged others. So to talk about Christians, I probably would have judged other church members for being in there as well, if I'm honest, at that point. Again, now, hey girl.
Right.
What you getting today?
What you got in your basket? Where you going?
Out of curiosity, Kellie, because you went to college in Atlanta as well, did that reputation ever, I guess, for lack of a better term, haunt you at Spelman as well, or was it at a little bit of separate of a world out there?
I think it was a little bit separate of a world.
Okay.
But I think what was ingrained in me, stayed, and so I wasn't the one super drunk. I wasn't the one hanging out every night. I wasn't that person because that just wasn't how I was raised. And it even took me a minute to kind of, break out of that and go and have fun and enjoy the experience. And my parents were never like, don't do it, but yeah, so I feel like I had a separate experience in college. Now, when I got out of those Spelman gates and I went back into the real world, then that was different.
Gotcha.
But in college with, my college people, that was separate. But outside of that, that was two different lives. And that was like just to walk across the gate. So I feel like, yeah, I think it has made me, I think I realized recently how conservative I am in some places that I didn't know. Even when I bring up swinging today, and the only reason why it's on my mind and my spirit, because I went to happy hour with some young ladies a few days ago, and some friends of a coworker, and their conversations about sex and life, and I'm like, these aren't the conversations that I have right, about swinging and and different things about sex and sexual experiences and those things, and I'm like, so I'm realizing how conservative I am,
right.
And it's so funny, I sat there, and not that I felt any way about them, but I was very intentional about making sure that my body language didn't say judgmental, because that's definitely not what I was trying to do. It was just more probably a place of discomfort because it just wasn't something that I was used to talking to about. But I know that was just to our original topic or whatever we're talking about. The liquor store was one place for me where I felt like preachers' kids shouldn't be.
Well, my experience was a little bit different. I think I, to a certain extent, played into that worst ones PK role fresh out of college, because I was super sheltered growing up. I didn't even get my first cell phone until I hit the gates of Spelman. Like, before that, I was using the phone in the front office of the school, or one of my friends had a cell phone. What was that phone where you had unlimited minutes?
At the time,
was it Metro PCS maybe?
Oh, Metro.
One of my friends had a Metro phone, so I could use her phone all the time. But I was just really sheltered. So when I got to Spelman, you could find me at all the clubs. They had the shuttle bus that will take you and bring you back.
Shuttle bus. My was based on the shuttle bus.
I did. My sister was a senior when I was a freshman, so I knew a lot of the upperclassmen from both Spelman and Morehouse, and they would hook me up. Like, I was just wilding out and felt no way about it. I felt no way about it. And I think even to a certain extent, even a little bit after, because I did eventually, I don't know if I ever told y'all, said it on the podcast, but when I was at Georgia Tech, someone broke into my apartment while I was there, and I had to hide in my bathroom. It was very traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
And like that night, I went home, and then the next day, Rudy, Auntie Norma, and my mom came and packed all my stuff up and moved home.
Right.
So transitioning home was pretty hard because my parents are, like I said, they were very strict, and I think even as an adult, in their eyes, you might be over 18 or 21, but you're still a child to them, and it's their house, their rules. And so if I did want to go to the club or hang out with my friends, I would either have to say I was with like a cousin or something, or if we were going to be out late, because we didn't even get to the club till like 11, I would just make arrangements to stay with one of my friends or whatever. Because if I said where I was going to go, I would have to get this whole lecture. And even now at 34, I still get this lecture if I tell my parents. But, they're like, my dad's the type of person who will look it up and be like, they had a shooting there 2 weeks ago. Are you sure this is the best place to be hanging out? So just to avoid all of that, I would just come up with all sorts of stories or just make my own arrangements. I will say something that was at the time was interesting was like some of our church members or people who went to church, they would be hesitant to invite me certain places because they felt like I shouldn't be there or whatever they may have felt. And I was like, no, invite me. I'm not that type of person. I'm not uppity like that. And so sometimes I would go. I remember I have been to a couple of strip clubs, and at the time, I didn't feel no ways about it. I was just living my life. But now, I'm not going to a strip club, and I'm not going to the club. You might catch me at a lounge, but I much prefer to be back in my own house by 8 p.m. and in the bed by 9:30. Like it's a complete change. But I will say, like when I was younger, I didn't really have those convictions of, oh, I shouldn't be here or shouldn't be there. But I think it was more so like because I didn't get to experience a lot of things in high school. So I was just trying to get it how I lived and get it in how like I didn't care. And then I will say like since last week when we were talking about the car situation and the shooting, and I said I had been through some other shootouts too. Those were at the club. People were shooting in the club.
Somebody microphone. Anybody hear that background noise with me?
I do hear it. Let me see if it's me.
What's the noise sound like?
Like someone's ruffling.
Yeah, somebody outside, and it's a lot of.
What about? Is it going now?
Yes.
Oh, it's probably my fan.
Yes.
Do you hear it right now?
No.
Yeah, so it's probably the fan. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll move it off the microphone.
But yeah, just looking back at some of those situations, like I had no business being in those clubs. I was in some of the roughest parts of Atlanta. And I, I'm just trying to have a good time. But of course, looking back, that could have been a real bad situation. And even though it had nothing to do with me, the arguments and the shooting and the fighting, just doing being in those places just for the experience, at 34 absolutely wasn't worth it. And just seeing how the world is now, people get upset and will shoot you for looking at them the wrong way, for cutting them off, breaking hard or something like, no.
Absolutely.
So.
But I guess I'm even thinking as I hear both of y'all talking, I'm even thinking even for myself, like a lot of things that. So I guess to the question whether we should or shouldn't do it, and then a lot of things that I just don't do no more, but really because of just like age and maturity more than like just say religion and spirituality. You know what I'm saying? Like there's even been times in my life, even when I was in college, that I've like abstained, from sex, but it was for like, like during the football season. It was like sports reasons, like, because you hear like, oh, Mike Tyson, was absent and he became a world champion. So it's like, then you try to see, does it work for you? But I don't know if I take that back. I definitely have abstained for just say godly reasons before, but even when it come down to like the club and stuff like that, like I know for sure I don't go to clubs right now because I just don't club no more. I never had a thought or a conversation with God about the clubs. Like I don't know if God just accepts it because I'm not going anyways, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe I do need to check my heart and go and not go for those reasons as well. But I just know like I just don't care about the club. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't. If I never went to another club a day in my life, like I promise you, no sleep will be lost. Like, and I mean, not even a little. So, but I don't know if that makes me right or wrong because once I'm not doing it for that particular reason. That's just like even if like going to church, like there's a difference between going to church for whatever you just say the right reason is as opposed to maybe even preaching for the right reason as opposed to teaching people or edifying whatever or on the other side you just preaching because you're building your brand and you have the gift of wooing the crowd, you know what I'm saying, and knowing how to whatever, and you just trying to get money or whatever. Like both preachers can appear to be doing the same thing, you know what I'm saying, but it'd be different. And I guess like for me, am I just appearing to be doing the same thing as somebody who doesn't go to the club for godly reasons? You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? I guess that's always been like a thought of mine, and I even thought about it again as y'all were talking, because I know even growing up, I was thinking about this when you were talking, Kelly, about when you were saying you would probably judge somebody if you seen them buying liquor. Like I remember hearing stories, or even hearing a preacher tell a story, a story about like them going to like a gas station and they see like one of their church members like buying like a lotto ticket or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And they don't call them out. They don't even wave at them or nothing. They try to not even be seen by them because they don't want the member to feel, uncomfortable or have to be rattled because the pastor here or whatever like that. But even with that, like I always thought about it. I was just like, dang, like, okay, so playing the lottery is bad. That just always stuck in my mind as a child. Like, okay, obviously playing the lottery is bad because this is a thing that people don't want to be seen doing. I've grown up seeing people be one way at home, and not even in my own house. Like you go to like one of the kids' birthday parties that go to the church, and you be like, dang, like this what y'all parents be doing? You know what I'm saying? Like parents drinking, we in there twerking, or getting twerked on. You know what I'm saying? And these church kids, this is all church people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, and the parents in the other room. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, and I remember, but I remember thinking like trying to make all of this make sense in my mind. Because at one point in time, I used to think that I was the only person who used to think and act sinfully Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday I would act holy until I sat in. Shout out to Elder Rick McIntyre. I was in his office one time with a bunch of youth, and I was hearing the conversation they was having. I was like, whoa. Like I thought I was bad, like well, y'all off the chain. But once again, to my point, and I'm gonna shut up. I don't know if any of us have slowed down from the things we were talking about in those conversations because of age, or because we grew closer to God and was like, oh no, we shouldn't do this. Because if I wasn't older, or I didn't feel out of the loop with the clubs or whatever, would I still go? And if I did still go, is that wrong as a PK or even as a Christian or follower of Christ or whatever?
Hey y'all, sorry to interrupt, but we have a few church announcements. Follow us on Instagram at TheWorstOnesPK. New content coming soon. We also have a TikTok at TheWorstOnesPK. No content yet, but continue to check us out. If you want to, when you listen to our podcast, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. Just make sure you type in The Worst Ones Podcast and you'll find us. And when you get there, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe, and you share. Thank you to our 500,422 followers. We love you so much. Now, back to the show. I would say for myself and honesty and transparency, that some of the things I don't do anymore that may be considered a sin or something frowned upon is because of just a lack of interest. Versus I've made this intentional commitment to the Lord that I was no longer going to do these things. Right. I don't club like I used to. But like again, but it wasn't, Lord, I'm not gonna do this. But I also feel like it wasn't such a stronghold on me that I needed to have this intentional conversation with the Lord. I feel like when people are not addicted, but enjoy strip clubs to a excessive degree or something like that, and you feel like that was impacting your relationship with the Lord, people have those conversations that, I'm not going to do this anymore. Mine was just, like I said, age, maturity, lack of interest. I do typically go homecoming. Is a big time that you'll see me out. I may, I like lounges. I may hit a lounge or two once every 3-4 months or something, go out and hear some live music. So for me, and that's a good question. Am I wrong because I, continue to go, or am I wrong because I don't acknowledge the Lord in it? Am I better or worse off than the person who says, I'm not going to go to the club because of you, Lord, and I'm just not going to go because I don't want to? I don't know. I mean, I guess everybody has different struggles.
Right.
Partying has never been a struggle for me.
Right.
It was just something I did just to do. I like a good experience, a good time, and
right.
So I don't know. So that's a good point.
I've even thought about this, like I've wondered recently, like, even because when you get married, the bed is undefiled, sex is legal, if you will, right? You're good to go in the God's eyes. But I've wondered, like, if you having sex, like, as a married person, but just say you got like music playing by an artist, let's just say Tank, Tyree, somebody in that whatever category, that's just say singing about love making or whatever like that, and we know for a fact that these niggas ain't talking about no wife in this song. They may be older and married and all that stuff now, but where their heart and mind was when they wrote that song or sung it, if they didn't write it, listen, they was talking about fornicate. Amen. They were talking about fornication. Let's just be real. And I've wondered, like, even if me as a married person is having sex with my wife who I'm married to, but we listening to the fornication music, I've thought about it. I'm like, is that wrong, or are we okay because we technically married, but the song itself, though, they weren't talking about. I mean, I don't know if they were. I'm not saying they were excluding married people, but when the woman who they was talking to in that song was not their wife. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't. Go ahead, Janessa.
So this will be to both you and what you and Kellie just said. I will say part of it, I think, is getting older and being mature, getting more mature. But I also think some of it, I know for myself, I've been asking God to, like, of course, when you're asking God for the desires of your heart, I was always taught that if you are aligned with what God wants you to do, then he's going to give you the desires of your heart because he's actually giving you what he wants to give you anyways. And so that would be Psalms 37:4, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And so just kind of after many failed or, horrible situations, I would say probably within the past 10 years, that's kind of been something that I've been asking God to do. It's just to, like, not my will, but your wills, or like help me to release the things that I think I want and help me to want what you want type of situation. And I think in this process, because it's definitely a process, didn't just happen like this. There's certain music I don't listen to anymore. There's certain places that I just don't have the desire to go anymore. And so in some ways you might just say, oh, I'm getting older and getting more mature, but it also just might be God working through you and just not in the most I can't think of the word, just outwardly way. It's more inward. Oh, the fan, Rudy.
Kellie, you know you're
Okay.
not on mute, right?
I know, but I'm trying to tell you, I hear your fan.
Oh, you still here right now?
No.
Oh, okay. Cause I ain't got no AC on either, so I gotta
Well, a
try
little
to.
bit.
I gotta try to keep it on me a little bit first.
Y'all
Go
will
ahead.
be-
I mute myself. Go ahead, Janessa. I'm sorry.
So yeah, it might not be as outwardly, but more inward workings. So I was kind of thinking about that. Now, in terms of music, I will say, because when you said Tank and Tyrese, you know, they had that group TGT back in the day.
TGT.
And not too long ago, I was listening to the album because I used to love that album. And they have this song called No Fun. And I was just bopping along. And then I started listening to the words. And I was just like, wait a second. It was like, it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none or something.
And you like, nope, absolutely
Like,
not.
Literally, like I was just like, that don't sit right with me. I don't want to be bopping talking about it ain't no fun if the because that's not that doesn't roll over here, you know. So I will say, like, I can't say that for all music, you know, I might not be there yet, but there definitely are certain songs that I'm just not interested in, and that also might play a reason why I'm not really interested in the club. I don't know what the rappers are saying anymore. I've said that several times on this podcast. Even back in the day, I didn't really know what the rappers were saying, but you know, Walk It Out wasn't that hard to figure out. You know what I'm saying? Lean with it, rock with it wasn't that hard. Now it's like mumble rap and they just be putting words together. And so I don't even listen to it. I go to the club and do what? Sit down. I can sit down at the house. You know, I can, if I really want a glass of wine, I can have it at the house instead of paying overpriced price. You know, I don't have to worry about fights breaking out at the house. So I just think that's part of it too. I think that there is some like spiritual development that's going on in all of us, even if we don't acknowledge that initially, we don't maybe recognize that's what's going on. But I think that is part of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. For sure. Like you said, just an internal thing that you don't even realize. But things just hit you differently now than it did before. I definitely agree with that. And I feel like those moments for me, my dad has always been really big about quiet time and spending that personal time with the Lord every day. And I've gone in and out with doing that consistently.
Same.
And I've tried to be consistent. Well, I've always tried to be consistent, but I've been trying to be consistent recently. And I definitely feel a difference even when you talk about spiritual development. When I am intentional about that alone time with the Lord, I see that I'm convicted or things hit me differently than they don't, you know, when I'm not spending that intentional time with the Lord. And so even when I was thinking about like your example with the music, when I'm in tune with the Lord, that may convict me. But just as soon as I step out of that, you know, just as soon as I'm not as intentional about spending the time with the Lord, then I feel it doesn't convict me as much. You know, I'm not as in tune to what they're saying. If this is, like you said, if this aligns with who I am in my life, I'm just kind of, you know, singing along. So I think I like that part about spiritual development and how that impacts what you do and what you don't do. That's a good. See, that's always come with a good word.
He's working on me. I'm not there yet, but he's working on me.
We see it, and we see the manifestation of the word.
So even going down the list of things of the do's and don'ts though, like, so okay, boom, going to the club, like we get our reasons, but even just is going to even if it's a lounge, even if it ain't like a traditional club, but just a place where they're playing secular music. Like, you know, it may, you know, they got a little mixture, maybe a little old school, but maybe a little twerking, maybe a little, you know, little trap music, you know, and you know, and then the twerking music, you know, they definitely talking about what they talking about, and the male music they talking about what they talking about. Is this a place where us Christians should be spending our leisure time and hanging out and feeding our spirit with that devilish music.
Go
Ooh.
ahead.
See, because I gotta be honest, I can't say yes or no. I can't say yes or no because so last week, let me tell you, I don't know if I've ever really talked about my boyfriend on the podcast, but he's the
Come on,
sweetest.
boyfriend.
I know. He is the sweetest thing ever. And so last weekend I just texted him, I want to dance with you. We were apart and I didn't mean I just said that, period. And so the next night, Saturday night, he took me to all of these places where we could dance.
Aw.
And so when it wasn't like the club, stand in line, like, well, that's not true. It was. That's not true. But it wasn't like the club the way I see it, more like low key spots, like where people are really like dancing, and it wasn't about you gotta have a section and have bottles and what I'm saying, like it wasn't that type of vibe. But just like pure like dance spaces. When they're playing the mixture of we went to some mixed places, so they were playing a mixture of the trap and some R&B and pop, and like I said, it was like a couple of old school Michael Jackson and stuff. Like there was a couple of different rooms that had different vibes, and I had so much fun in the time of my life. And so I can't sit here and say no, Christians can't go to the club or listen to secular music, because I still do. So whether it's right or wrong, I'm not going to. I'm gonna plead the fifth.
Can something be wrong and we just admit that we enjoy it?
I mean, it can. I'm not about to do that, but that can happen.
Because I mean, or because I do understand your apprehension, if you will, like the because it's something that, for one, just say even from your boyfriend, came from what seemed like a place of love, and then that you had this great experience and it seems harmless, and it and all these different types of things. But let's just say for whatever reason that is wrong. I mean I definitely will admit that the life of sin is has its lituation moments. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not all bad. as far as experiencing it, like I'm bad in the sense of it being a bad thing, sure, but in reference to just being outside and just doing what you want to do or whatever, like I think the Bible speaks against these different things so much because of, not because it's lame or boring or unexciting or don't feel good or taste good, or what I'm saying, like I feel like so and I'm not talking about even your particular date experience. I'm just saying in general, like things that I do, like that I know is wrong. I do them because I like them, and I tell the Lord, and listen, you gonna have to stop because I can't. You feel what I'm saying? Like it's just I don't have the capacity. You feel what I'm saying? Because you know me, you created me, you know this thing that I like doing, and I'm here. So I'm in it. You feel what I'm saying? That's just what it is. But I do like doing it, and I think that once again, totally aside from your date, but just on the topic of things that we do that we may not should do, and I'm not even talking about it has to be something as deep as sex or whatever like that. But even if it is, I mean, I'm a comedian. I definitely tell jokes that Christians could clutch their pearls at. You know what I'm saying? So even going to a comedy show, or we've even talked about this before, the type of content that you watch. You know what I'm saying? Like if us as Christians, like should we be watching, P Valley or whatever, or even hell, Tyler Perry shows? We done talked about that nigga. He ain't churching it no more. You know what I'm saying? He is not churching it no more. You feel what I'm saying? But like, so I guess to me, I always, that's always been a balance in my mind. I've tried to figure out, like, if the drinking the liquor is wrong, or the smoking the weed is wrong, or the buying the scratch off is wrong, or the going to the club is wrong, or whatever. Like, but what about, like, if you're at your house not going to the club and you don't have a drink in your hand, and you did have your quiet time with reading the Bible, whatever, but then P Valley come on at night and you watch it, or Love and Hip Hop come on at night and you watch it. Like, are you any different than the person who went to the club or did all these different things that you're telling somebody not to do?
One, I think we all sin and fall short of the glory of God, right? So and I know in church they often say that one sin isn't bigger or larger or worse than another one. And so I feel like we all have our things that we struggle with. And the Lord knows our heart. But I think there's a balance to it. I think sometimes it's between you and God and your relationship with God. It isn't for someone else to say, "Oh, you're right or wrong for watching P Valley," or "You're right or wrong for watching the more demonic stuff of Tyler Perry versus his earlier stuff when he tried to be more churchy." I think it's because I think you can turn something that anybody has done into secular. So people enjoy sports, but because some of the sports people aren't Christians and don't believe in God, or sorry, the athletes, I guess they're not sports people, but some of the athletes aren't Christian and don't believe in God and have done criminal acts and go to the club or whatever. So then I no longer watch the NBA because everybody doesn't serve God, or the NFL or whatever. Like, I feel like there's a space in everything where you can say this doesn't 100% give glory to the Lord. But I think the Lord understands that the world doesn't work like that. And so I think there's a balance to it. And I think that that balance and that conviction comes from the spiritual development that Janessa talked about in that relationship that you have with the Lord. Um,
I do. Oh, go ahead. I thought
Go
you
ahead.
were done. Well, I was going to say, I do agree with you to the point of everybody has a different relationships or whatever, but I do think there is a difference between just say the type of content. So everybody just say who's involved in making the content being saved or whatever is one argument, which I do think that's a little bizarre. But in the sense of me watching just say a basketball game versus me watching sisters and watching somebody get smashed while they naked, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying there's a difference there. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and not even just in just the spiritual godly thing, just even in what I'm intaking. Like, I can sit and watch LeBron with my nephew that's 5 or whatever. I can't watch sisters with my nephew. You know what I'm saying? And I get that in the regular world standards, and I don't even mean world as far as the Christian way of it, but just in life, that's just more of a moral thing. Like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and watch, soft porn with this child. Okay. But even just say in the sense of us as Christians or whatever, like, I think it goes back to the question, would Jesus watch the Players Club? Because if he would, in fact, watch it, then I think that there is some level of a balance or whatever. But if Jesus wouldn't even watch it, then we may have to question ourselves. And I'm saying this as a person who would turn on Players Club right now. I'm not saying this as a healed person. Okay, I'm saying this. I'm saying this just from the perspective of thinking about it. Like, if he would do it, then I think that there is some level of, okay, if we watch it with this mindset, we're good. But if Jesus would be like, absolutely not for whatever reason, then I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't.
And I want to say one more quick thing, but I think about, so I agree. There's a difference in content between watching the Lakers play and watching sisters. Agree. But I feel like, again, it's your intentions, your motives behind that. I know people who watch sisters once a week and right, maybe the sex scenes or whatever triggers me and I want to go have sex and recreate the positions they had. I don't know. But I also know some people who idolize LeBron James, who idolize Kobe Bryant,
1,000%.
and those things become greater than the
That's
Lord.
real. That's real.
And so I feel like there's different intents in motives in all of things. And so where the basketball content may be more appropriate than the sisters content, my intent and my motive and my feelings behind why I watch basketball, how much I watch it, I know football season is starting and men gonna stop going to church. I know September through February, you know, church a little slim on men.
Right.
GameStop, 1 o'clock.
Right.
It's a little slim.
Pastor preaching too long. We got to get
Exactly. Exactly. I got to go. You know, and so I think that there's a, again, it goes back to me like in intent, where your heart is in watching it. Yeah, I stay there for now.
I was just gonna say, because y'all said a lot, so hopefully I can remember my points. But I think part of it also, as you talked about, is just where you are on your journey with Christ. Because probably when I was 18 at Central Station, and you were trying to tell me that, you know, you shouldn't be going to the club, I wasn't ready to hear it at that point. But now you probably can't find me at, I don't even know what the names of the clubs are today. I also think, and this is just something I've kind of been doing in my own life in general, especially when it comes to music. So I've said it 1,000 times. I don't know what the people be saying in these songs. Even some of the R&B songs, I don't know what they really be talking about. So I've been intentionally trying to find, like, I really like Afro beats. So I've been trying to find Christian Afro beats or Christian R&B. And there are now, you know, with Apple and Spotify and the different streaming services, like their whole playlist. So I found all these new artists. And so I've just kind of found myself listening to more of those type of musics. If I want to hear R&B, trying to listen to Christian R&B than something that's super heavily sexual. And I think it's hard because when you've grown up and you've been listening to certain music for a long time, like some songs are hard to let go, even if they aren't super sexual. I mean, I like Candy Rain, you know. I don't think that song's talking about anything bad, but is it praising the Lord? Not necessarily. And I think also just even in some of the places we go or entertainment we seek out. Now, I've gone to Christian comedy and I've had a good time, but I'm not really necessarily like a comedy girl. I'm not just, oh, let me see what the next comedy show is. And recently, like I've seen, and I thought it was kind of cute. It was like choir rehearsal with your friends, but it was like at a lounge place. And I guess there's some type of host and it's like, sorry, y'all, from the Instagram commercial, whatever, advertisement, it looked like a bunch of fun because there's certain songs we've all grew up singing in church and everybody already knows the words. I mean, they have the screen up there. They've had like Christian karaoke, stuff like that. And that I personally been like, you know what, I might want to check that out. That's just an alternative fun thing to do that's hopefully safer than going to the club or being in certain environments. So that's just something that I've just over time, like I said, if you tried to tell me to go to the choir rehearsal with your friends event at 19,
right.
I might not have gone if I'm, you know, that versus homecoming or something like that. Like I'm going to homecoming. But I do think part of our just all Christian struggles is just that we've grown up in the world, kind of, sort of. We're not supposed to be of the world, but we've grown up in the world. And so going to concerts, going to the club, going to the lounge, going to the event, whatever, going to the like it's kind of the norm. And so the convictions for us may not be as strong as they should be because everybody else is doing it. Even your other Christian brothers and sisters, they're the ones inviting you to go. So I just think, you know, it's a journey. And like Kellie said, it's your own personal relationship, your own convictions. Because all of us have been going to church since before birth. And we all have our own different convictions about different things. Now, who's right, who's wrong, and all of that, that's up to God at the end of the day.
Right.
But I think as long as we are striving to do what God is, you know, has instructed us to do, and like y'all have said, he knows we are not perfect. The Bible says all has fallen short. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So he knows. I just think we all have to strive to be better every day. Sometimes I will speak for myself. Sometimes I'm on it, and sometimes I'm not.
Right.
But that's between me and God. It's not necessarily between me and anybody else. So I also plead the fifth with Kellie. I don't know if I'm wrong. It's just a daily walk.
It's so, but it's so crazy. And I don't say this to combat your answer at all, but I was even thinking about that when you said homecoming. Like, I'm like, dang, like, do we even need to be at homecoming? Because homecoming definitely lit. Like, and not in the and my school is a private Christian. Can you see my finger? Christian school. Okay, we is owned by the A.m.E. Church. And listen to me, huh? Okay. We have chapel on Wednesdays, yeah, but listen, outside of that one little hour, okay, it is a sinful natured school. Believe that. During school, they ain't even on homecoming and all that. So yeah.
But probably most schools are. I mean, how many parents are intentional? And maybe we talk about maybe a topic in the future is how we would parent our children as preachers' kids. We're not preachers, but as preachers' kids, how will we parent our children? Because you went to a private Christian school, Janessa?
For what?
School for K through 12.
They were private. They weren't religious based.
They weren't religious. Okay. But even when you hear stories about private religious K through 12 schools and the things that they're doing and they're exposed to, I think there's always going to be, the devil is working. The world is working, like there's always going to be sin everywhere. We make the choice, what we decide to indulge in and not. But I don't think that you could. Homecoming to me, and I'm gonna say this in defense of myself because I can't wait to go next month. It's my 15-year anniversary since I crossed, and I can't wait to kick you with my line sisters. But I think it's a place of fellowship. It's a place of fun. It's a place of coming back to a place that I've grown personally as a student, that I graduated from. For me to tell a Christian that they can't go to homecoming is crazy. Now the things that they choose to engage in during homecoming, now that's different.
And it's hard. And it's hard not to engage. Amen.
But to say, you and your amens today. But to say Christians can't go to homecoming, Christians can't go to college, Christians can't. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Class fraternities, all that.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy. To me, and which is why I plead the fifth, to say I can't go to the club or the dance party, then you can't go see Beyonce either. Like, because to me is
well, yeah, we already figured out she the devil though.
Beyonce is not the devil. Stop it.
We already figured that out.
And Beyonce not doing it. Well, she didn't curse a little more and got a little more vulgar as she got older. She got more comfortable with herself. But I'm like, but to me, there's some similarities in it. But I definitely will not say no. Can Christians go to homecoming? Absolutely. Go in fellowship and have fun with your college friends and enjoy. Fellowship. Now, homecoming is most definitely fellowship.
I just like how you use the church word.
At least at Spelman, they have.
We have right.
Like
most
definitely have church 2 or 3 are gathered together at homecoming.
The Lord is present. But you make a choice on what you decide to engage in.
Right.
It's funny, to your point about being a youth. And hearing other people's conversations, you like, man, they doing that. I'm not that bad, and sometimes those things that I'm convicted about, if it comes to drinking or going out or listening to secular music, and then I hear other people's conversations, I'm like, oh, I'm doing good,
Right.
But you also got to be careful not to compare yourselves to other people like that as well. And again, it goes back to your personal relationship. But what I am going to say is I'm not having that Christians can't go to homecoming. I'll go and fellowship with your peers.
Kellie, I see you at homecoming, girl.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there.
All right, Janessa, do you have any jewels for us?
You know, I completely forgot about that segment.
There you go. There you go. All right.
So no, I really did forget this week.
Okay.
Just keep swimming, keep pushing. She got that
There you
good
go.
promotion.
Not just keep swimming.
Kelly's keys. Come on, Kelly's keys.
I'm talking about you. You got the good promotion. You got the induction into the thing. You got the conference for next week that Rudy never heard of. You out here trying to make efficient energy. Listen, just keep swimming. The Lord got you.
That's a good key. Go ahead, Kelly. Kelly's key for the week is just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
What Dory? What's her name? Dory.
Yeah.
I was gonna call her Dora the Explorer. I'm like, no, that's not it. Dory.
I didn't know until I was grown that was Ellen DeGeneres playing the voice.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that till this right now.
Y'all.
I was today years old.
I was literally grown by the time I was like, that show is Ellen's voice.
Today years old. Had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think we did a good job winging it today.
I'm talking about wing. Can you see my
Can't see.
Not the funky chicken. Dirty bird.
Winging it. All right. Princess Kells.
So you can type in at Princess Kells 51. There's a cute picture of me from homecoming last year. But it's private. So you won't be able to get in. So all you're gonna see is that cute little picture of me from homecoming last year. Had a good time too.
Amen.
You can find me at JRihanna_. We have fun over there.
Amen. All right, Terry Wayne Comedy. You guys can follow him and all of his madness at Terry Wayne Comedy on all platforms. And if you want to check out his book, go to Amazon.com. Type in Unclaimed Ashes and cop one, okay? And make sure when you cop yours, you actually read it, unlike Kellie Lee.
Hey, I got it.
But yeah, shout out to Terry Wayne. We appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for continuing to follow us on our journey. We are the Worst Ones Podcast, and we will see you all next week.
Top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world. Top of the world. Yeah, top of the world.